Hello, book fighters. It's Thursday.
You were just greeted by Caleb Nation, noted video blogger and also author of the Brand Handbook series. The latest book, The Spectre Key, has just come out. You should go buy it, read it. I haven't read it yet, but I will in the coming weeks. This week I read The Definitive Book of Body Language by Alan and Barbara Pease. I've read it a few times before, but it's one that I like to come back to and reread every once in a while because it has this sort of like practical skills that you need to keep in your mind in order to remember. So I've been wanting to reread this one for a while, and I'm glad I was able to get back to it. It's really, I mean, it's hard to review a book like this. I mean, it's excellent, and you should read it, but what else can you really say? It's just a description of body language, basically, like the title says. And yeah, I mean, I found it to be very useful. It helps you read people better. You can tell when people are lying, whether someone's mad at you or just nervous. It kind of helps you navigate those situations where people are being weird, but you don't really know why. And it gives you just a little more detail than what most people get to work with, which I found very useful. And actually, if you work in a job where you live off of tips, this is a good book to read because it has definitely helped me a lot. Just to give you an example, last night I made $25 in tips, and the person I was working with made $9 in tips. And he delivered to more people than I did. And this is a pretty regular thing. I get tipped more than anyone else in my department. So it's definitely useful in that regard. And it also has a lot of kind of interesting facts. If you like just random facts like I do, trivia, it's a good book for that too. For example, when you see somebody for the first time, whether they're someone you knew before or not, when you first see them, you automatically check them out twice, from like head to toe, 2 times. The first time is to see if they're a threat, and the second time is to see how sexy they are. Everybody does this. Guys do it, girls do it, but guys get in trouble for doing it more because they don't have as good peripheral vision as women do. So you can see a guy look you from head to toe twice, whereas a girl, her eyes might not barely move at all, so you don't really notice. And because you don't realize you're doing it, girls think that they don't, but they do. We all do. And if you've seen the show Lie to Me, this is the stuff they're talking about. If you want to be like Cal Lightman, read this book. Which, I don't know who would want to be like Cal Lightman, but if you do, how-to guide. Now on to questions. I think the only question I have to answer is Dan's, unless Sarah asked one, but I don't think she did. I just watched her video. Yeah, I don't think she did. So Dan's question is, where does the text begin? And I don't think that there's just kind of one answer for that, because as the writer, the text begins before you even start writing it. When you're formulating the characters, or I don't think that it goes back so far as the situations that you draw from later when you're writing. But yeah, when you start formulating the characters, that's when it starts coming together for the writer. But I don't think the text begins until someone reads it. Because I know that when I write something, like I have lots of orphaned stories and poems or whatever that are just on my hard drive, or were on my hard drive before it crashed. And I don't really feel like they're real yet, because nobody's read them, and they're not ready to be read. They're still in their undeveloped, nasty, original state. So I think it happens when somebody reads it. That's when the text really starts. And all of that stuff that comes before it, I think, is just part of that first moment when someone picks it up and reads it. Because I'm also not one of those people that's of the belief that like your stories are yours. You know, like people like Anne Rice, who don't want people writing fan fiction or having any independent thought about their books other than what they intended. Like I don't think author intent really matters that much. It matters when you're writing the book, but I don't think it matters to the reader, because it's sort of, I think that what the reader brings to it is what makes it a good or bad story. So, like one of my favorite books, Crush, it's a book of poetry, and I had all of my own thoughts and ideas about it, and it's like this really meaningful book for me. When I found out the author's intent when he was writing it, I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't know that before I read it, because it would have been totally lame and I wouldn't have loved it at all. So I think that author intent is important when you're writing, and it's important to communicate certain ideas when you're writing, and if those ideas don't come across, then you kind of failed as a writer. But I don't think you have complete control over your text. I think once you put it out there into the world, it's not totally yours anymore. Like, you've had your part in it and you passed it on, and now it's this thing that belongs to everybody, at least everybody that's read it. Okay. My question for you this week is a really easy one. Requires no thought. I just want to know, how tall are you? How tall are you? That's my whole question, because it's hard to tell when we don't see each other, so I just feel like I want to know. I want to know how tall you are. I am 5'6". I'm actually a smidgen shorter than 5'6", but I'm 5'6" on the inside, and I'm close enough on the outside that I can just round up and not feel bad about it. And then next week is Teen Read Week. We're all reading young adult novels for Teen Read Week. If you're a teen, you should read next week. You should read all the time, really. Even if you're not a teen. We're advocates for this reading thing. So I will be reading Beautiful Creatures. Julia, I will see you tomorrow. Best wishes.